cycle, get the bullet rechambered and ready to fire again. And it really does limit the impact an op can have. Ops were so deadly in CSGO, and now we see something akin to the Kenny S nerf, except more drastic, and the game hasn't even been out for 3 weeks yet. So it's very interesting to see what we'll get with the opping. And why don't we segue that into the maps, Nate? Because I know we were talking about Anubis in the pre-show, or Ancient rather, and you're like, do not opt T-side Ancient. I will tear my hair out if you opt on T-side Ancient. I agree with that sentiment, and that's actually going to be map number 1.
Yeah, to get the first bans out of the way, it's Anubis and Overpass. You mentioned Ancient is the first map. Ancient was already a map that was difficult to op on the T side, and with these new, I dare say features, they might be bugs, but I'm going to go with features for now. With these new features on the opping role, I think opping has become quickly unserviceable and unwieldy on that T side, especially towards Snake. The only real spot I can see you holding down anything is that for an A main push or some aggression. And if you have a solid stalwart CT defense where you just hold your ground, the op becomes nearly ineffectual.
Yeah, and it's not like you can have an opper go for some aggressive fight, say up B ramp, you're going to get popped, whether an op or a rifle holding the angle. Rifles are so crisp in CS2. You even have to worry about, I would say, a deagle too, taking your head off, even if you are on that advantageous buy. And it really does limit your options with the AWP. So I think rifles are going to be the name of the game on that T side of Ancient. And probably a lot of interesting smokes. There's been a little more time for teams to figure out some cool smokes. I hope to see some really cool lineups, some really good throws, maybe some fakes cross map coming through to really change things up. Map number 2, Nuke. The only thing that really changed on Nuke is the fact that you can't really hide anywhere. You will die when the bomb explodes. It's become Inferno at the end of CSGO, although I would say probably a little bit worse, just how contained Nuke is in the width sense. It's very vertical, but hard to find a spot to stay alive.
I will say, canonically, it makes sense. It's a nuclear reactor. If you set off a bomb in a nuclear reactor, you are going to die. I hate to say it. I think you will die. So I think it makes sense personally. The map, I felt like, was one of the prettiest maps to begin with. They didn't really need to overhaul it graphically. They added, the shaders, and along those lines, we saw those, one-way shadows coming out of a trophy room or break room. And so I think it's a good map. I haven't got to see it too much on CS2. I'm excited to see how it plays out. The last map we are left with, of course, Vertigo and Inferno being banned, The decider will be Mirage, a classic map for both of these teams, a staple in NA, and a map that, if you are uncomfortable in CS2, probably going to be an okay one for you nonetheless.
Yeah, it's an interesting third map. It's not usually a map you see as a decider, but it does come through here as map number 3. Downs, a lot of players on that roster very familiar and love that map. George as well, a big fan of Mirage, and really, nobody in North America is unfamiliar with it. You might not like it as much as others, but everyone knows how to play Mirage. Everyone is aware of how the map works, how the rotations are, timings. That hasn't really changed in CS2. Just a couple of graphical updates on Mirage as well. No real structural changes to the map. And there are some smokes that you can throw that you weren't able to throw before. I think it's a lot easier to smoke mid-window now. But other than that, the map is Mirage. We all know it, and we either love it or love to hate it. And we will get there if we do go to a third. But Ancient, I do think it's still a good pick for EG. Yes, they did get killed by Party Astronauts in their one map of CS2 on it. But they probably fixed what they feel like they had messed up on, what they need to patch, and they're ready to go against a less than subpar record for Nouns too at 1-5. Their only win coming against Hound.
I was going to say, the most recently played map of Ancient for Nouns was also against Party Astronauts, and it was also a one-sided affair. Granted, it was in CSGO. It was 7-16, though. And just playing CS2 alone on Ancient should give you an edge, because you know what to expect from the map. CS2 plays so differently. Again, I think Evil Geniuses have a very real edge because of the greater number of officials played in CS2.
Yeah, they did take out Party Astronauts in that series as well, 2-1, so they do have some advantage there. Mirage was also one of those maps played, so if it does go to the third, there is that extra little boost. Have not played Nuke on CS2.